All right, here is the very ambitious film from Robert Zemeckis. Of course, brought us such classics as Back to the Future series and Polar Express, which I did not like. Here is incredibly ambitious for its concept. The concept is it takes a location on Earth and shows you everything that happened in that location, starting with the dinosaurs and then the ice age.
Hey,
To
let me just clarify. It's as if he took a camera, placed it in one spot, and that camera never moved.
Exactly, that's what it does, and it's very clever. So it goes through. It mostly focuses on one family, which is the family that Tom Hanks's
The
character
Young family.
is a part of. The Young family. Tom Hanks plays Richard Young. Robin Wright plays Margaret Young. But and Paul Bettany is Al Young, uh, Richard's father. But it also takes you through other stories in time. The Indians, colonial times, when the house was first built, sort of a almost Victorian era family into the 20s. A guy who invents the Relax-A-Boy chair. He and his wife that does burlesque and nude photography, which I thought was very entertaining. I laughed at that. That was fun. It's it what's kind of weird about it is I kind of liked it, but based on the trailer, I expected to really get emotionally involved, and I felt like it moved around so much that it was like seeing a bunch of short films intercut. So the continuity goes back and forth between all the stories, and what will happen is it's very, very clever. The concept is a 10 out of 10. The story is a 5 out of 10. Okay. Because the concept is you'll see a little square. One square will be in a different time period than the one we're watching, and it will fade to that square. There was so much time and effort spent on making these things blend. It's so clever, but the cleverness is kind of, you know, overshadows the stories, which are the story of a family and Richard and Margaret Young. You see them as kids, they conceive a child on the couch. She's pregnant. They have to get married and move into this house with their family to be able to afford to survive. You see the other stories play out in different eras, but they're all intercut. People who have resided in this home, and it's very, very clever, but not anything really super. I mean, there's some light social commentary, like the Indians and the colonial times. You'll see their slaves building things, but it doesn't hit you over the head. So I don't know. But the other thing that also really bothered me, the fact that the story is kind of, we've seen it, been there, done that, and it was all very predictable, very predictable. Was the fact that like Tom Hanks's face is grafted on to young people's bodies. Same with Robin Wright. So you're looking at it, it's like this, gangly teenage kid with like a Tom Hanks AI face. I'll say Leo Cody probably worked on this. He did a good job. But that was a little distracting. So there were the ages, the time periods, the bouncing back and forth. There are threads that all pay off, which I thought was great. Like that worked, but ultimately the story a 5, the concept a 10. I could go on, but I expected, based on the trailer, I expected to be moved, and it just wasn't there for me. I expected to be really, really, it just didn't work overall, but ambitious, very ambitious. Alan, what did you think of here?
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part. I do like the concept. The opening segment, the opening moments of the movie is just really using the concept in hyperspeed,
Right.
just so you get an idea of how the gimmick works. But I agree with you. in terms of the story, I'll tell you why I had a problem with it. I do improv. I'll be doing improv tomorrow at the National Comedy Theater, and one of the ideas that I bring to my style of improv is the idea of stakes. Meaning, if you're going to go on stage and you're going to do a scene, you have to have some stakes. If the stakes are too low, it's a boring scene. For example, if I'm going in to tell my wife what a wonderful day it is, and I hope we got a plan for the trip to grandmother's, the stakes are fairly low. If I go and buy a bag of groceries, the stakes are very low. And this is what this movie felt like, is that the stakes were just too low to make it interesting. Let's put it this way. This could have been, the story told could have been the story of my life. And quite frankly, my life is not that interesting to make a movie out of it. And I think what you're seeing here is just a story about normal, average people going through normal, average things. The conceit here is that the Tom Hanks and Robin Wright character, they're living with Tom's family, with Alan and the mother, Alan Rose, and they're feeling claustrophobic, ironically, in this, and something everyone experiences. And to make a $100 million movie about that just seems kind of like a waste of time. The other thing is that, again, mundane story. There is a bit of virtue signaling, which I found kind of interesting, because at one point there's a black family that lives in the house, and these side stories that happen outside of the Young family, they're more asides. They sometimes hit the theme of what they're portraying in the Young story, but they're inconsequential to the overall story. And when it came to the black family, the Harrises, they're not on that screen very much. And so there's a moment where you forget that there is even a story about a black family. But what you do remember is, in one scene, the father is sitting down with his son, telling him exactly how to handle a police pullover so you don't get shot.
Yeah, they had to include that. So
let me just finish the point. Is that this is what we call stereotypes, because when you have a black family in your movie, you have to have a scene about the police and police violence and things like that. And you don't see that with all the other couples. For some reason, because you finally added a black family, a minority family in the movie, you've got to show minority oppression. And because you don't deal with that family much, it comes off as virtue signaling, and it really stands out, which is why I remember that scene very vividly.
Yeah, there are a few moments like that, like with the Indian artifacts in their backyard, and that those students that come over, and they really do force it. So we have to only show this frame; it never moves. Right. It never moves. That they set up that rule, and it's kind of like a found footage movie where they have to preserve the effort that goes to preserving the concept of a found footage movie sometimes overshadows the story, and that's what happened here. The concept, forcing this concept so strongly that you see it affects. I did like the change in technology. I like the couple with the Relax-A-Boy chair. That was funny. And she poses naked for him, which I thought was great, very tasteful.
Here's one other thing. I mentioned it last week when I reviewed the Alfred Hitchcock documentary. But in film, you've got to somehow connect with the character, connect with the family, the story. And when your camera is not moving, you are literally the fly on the wall. And when you're the fly on the wall, you are just observing. You're watching a fish tank, a fish bowl, and you're not really interacting with the fish in the tank. And here I felt the same way. I'm not really interacting with it. I'm just watching what's going on. And if you watch the Alfred Hitchcock documentary, you see how he uses camera, how he uses camera movement, camera placement to get you to to put yourselves in the shoes of the characters you're watching, and that's impossible with this gimmick that we have here.
So I give it a bare recommend, but the concept is deserves credit. I think
it's worth seeing once. Absolutely.
Yeah.
just to see it. I give it a bear recommendation too.
Yeah. See here once.